There's a moment in life when everything seems to fall apart. Your plans crumble, doors close, the path ahead looks dark. But then something unexpected happens. The universe shifts. What seemed like failure becomes your greatest blessing. This is the power of trust, not blind faith, but a deeper knowing that life brings exactly what you need, when you need it, even when it doesn't match what you thought you wanted. The universe operates on patterns we rarely see until we look back. That job rejection led to a better opportunity. That relationship ending created space for growth. That setback taught you strength you never knew you had. Today, we'll explore why trusting the universe isn't just spiritual talk, it's practical wisdom backed by countless lives transformed through surrender. You'll discover how to recognize when the universe is working for you, why resistance creates more suffering, and simple practices to align with the flow of life. This isn't about passive waiting. It's about active trust, moving forward with confidence that whatever comes is either what you need or will lead you there. The most successful people understand this secret. When you trust the process, you unlock possibilities beyond your limited plans. Trusting the universe isn't about sitting back and expecting magic to happen. It's a profound shift in how we relate to life's uncertainty. At its core, this trust means acknowledging that we don't control everything, and that's actually good news. Many mistake this concept for blind faith or magical thinking. It's neither. Trusting the universe means recognizing patterns of growth, opportunity, and resolution that often emerge from chaos and disappointment. It's seeing the bigger picture beyond our limited perspective. Think about water flowing around rocks in a stream. It doesn't fight against obstacles, it simply finds another path. This natural movement represents true trust, not forcing outcomes, but remaining flexible enough to adapt while staying committed to your journey. This trust operates from a quiet inner certainty that life unfolds with an intelligence beyond our planning. It's noticing how seemingly unrelated events connect in meaningful ways, how chance meetings lead to opportunities, how closed doors often protect us from paths not meant for our growth. Passive waiting looks like stagnation, doing nothing while expecting everything. It's lazy surrender without participation. Active trust, however, involves continuous movement, taking inspired action, making decisions based on present clarity rather than fearful prediction, adjusting course when necessary without abandoning your destination. Active trust means showing up fully each day while releasing attachment to specific outcomes. It means doing your part while allowing space for outcomes better than you could have orchestrated. It's planting seeds, tending the garden, but not controlling how each flower blooms. This perspective shift transforms daily life. Setbacks become redirections, problems become invitations to evolve, uncertainty becomes adventure rather than threat. You move from resistance to receptivity, seeing life as collaborative rather than combative. Trusting doesn't mean abandoning discernment or boundaries. It means distinguishing between helpful planning and anxious control, between wisdom and fear, between genuine guidance and impulsive reaction. In essence, trusting the universe means partnering with life rather than battling against it. It's recognizing you're part of something larger, complex, intelligent system that constantly moves toward balance, healing, and growth. Your participation matters, but your tight grip on outcomes only creates unnecessary suffering. Science offers fascinating explanations for what spiritual traditions have claimed for centuries. Our brains operate as reality filtering machines, not objective cameras capturing everything around us. This filtering system determines what information reaches our conscious awareness from the millions of inputs bombarding us every second. At the center of this filtering mechanism lies the reticular activating system, or RAS. This bundle of nerves at our brainstem acts as a gatekeeper, deciding what information deserves our attention and what gets filtered out. Most importantly, this system responds directly to our beliefs, expectations, and focus. When someone buys a new car, they suddenly notice the same model everywhere. Those cars were always there, but their RAS now flags this information as relevant. Similarly, when we expect problems, our brain becomes highly efficient at spotting them. When we look for opportunities, our neural pathways reorganize to highlight possibilities previously invisible to us. Research in neuroplasticity confirms this remarkable adaptability. Our neural networks physically restructure based on our dominant thoughts and beliefs. A fixed mindset believing opportunities are scarce, and life is hostily creates rigid neural patterns that reinforce these limitations. An open mindset believing in possibility and support creates flexible neural pathways that detect subtle connections and opportunities. Cognitive psychology studies show how confirmation bias strengthens this effect. We naturally seek evidence supporting our existing beliefs while discounting contradictory information. Someone who believes nothing ever works out will emphasize failures while minimizing successes. Someone who trusts in supportive patterns will recognize helpful coincidences others might dismiss as random. Beyond individual perception, quantum physics suggests a deeper connection between consciousness and reality. The observer effect demonstrates how the act of observation influences what's being observed. While we shouldn't oversimplify these principles, they hint at a universe more responsive to consciousness than previously thought. Social psychology adds another dimension through research on openness and opportunity. Open individuals display greater curiosity, flexibility, and willingness to engage with new experiences. This openness creates a self-reinforcing cycle. They encounter more diverse situations, build broader networks, develop adaptable skills, and consequently access more opportunities. Brain imaging studies reveal that states of trust and openness activate different neural regions than states of fear and guardedness. Trust engages the prefrontal cortex or center for higher reasoning and creative problem solving. Fear triggers the amygdala's fight or flight response, narrowing perception to focus exclusively on threats. Life speaks through patterns when we pay attention. Recognizing these patterns requires presence and noticing subtle messages often dismissed as coincidence. First among these signs are unexpected opportunities that arrive precisely when needed, often from unlikely sources. Someone mentions a job opening minutes after you consider a career change. A stranger offers exactly the connection you need without knowing your situation. A book falls from a shelf containing the exact wisdom required for your current challenge. These moments feel almost orchestrated, as if invisible hands arrange circumstances in your favor. Perfect timing represents another clear signal. Delays that initially frustrated you ultimately protected you from problems you couldn't have anticipated. Traffic making you late helps you avoid an accident ahead. A project postponement allows crucial information to surface before implementation. Funding arrives exactly when needed after months of uncertainty. These timing coincidences often reveal their purpose only in retrospect. Recurring themes or messages form perhaps the most compelling evidence. The same advice appears from multiple unrelated sources within days. A specific word, symbol, or number repeatedly appears in different contexts. Similar situations recreate themselves until you grasp their lesson. These patterns often intensify when you're making important decisions or standing at life crossroads. Synchronicities, meaningful coincidences without causal explanation, serve as another powerful indicator. Running into someone you were just thinking about, opening to exactly the page containing needed information, overhearing a conversation that directly addresses your private thoughts. These events suggest a deeper ordering principle connecting seemingly separate aspects of reality. Energy shifts accompany these signs: sudden clarity after confusion, unexpected calm during crisis, or intuitive knowing without logical explanation. Solutions emerge effortlessly after periods of struggle. Creative insights arrive during relaxation rather than forced effort. These shifts often follow surrender or acceptance of what cannot be controlled. Relationship patterns reveal universal support through people entering or exiting your life with precise timing. Mentors appear when guidance is needed. Certain connections dissolve when they no longer serve growth. New collaborators bring exactly the skills or perspective your project requires. These relationships often challenge you in necessary ways while supporting your authentic direction. Dreams and intuitions intensify during periods of alignment. Your dreams contain guidance through symbolic messages. Gut feelings provide reliable direction despite logical doubts. Physical sensations serve as internal guidance systems, tension warning against misaligned choices, expansive feelings confirming aligned paths. Contrast experiences highlight alignment through their opposite. Situations that create friction, resistance, or repeated obstacles often protect you from misaligned paths. What flows naturally usually aligns with your highest good, while what requires constant pushing often doesn't. This natural feedback system guides through both green and red lights. Deep within human nature lies a fundamental resistance to trust. Survival instincts evolved over millions of years, prioritize certainty, prediction, and control. These instincts served our ancestors well when predicting weather patterns or animal migrations meant the difference between eating or starving. Modern life, however, demands a different relationship with uncertainty. Fear of uncertainty triggers our most primal brain regions. Research shows that ambiguous situations activate the amygdala, our brain's alarm system, more intensely than known negative outcomes. Most people would rather receive a guaranteed electric shock now than possibly receive one later. This preference for certain pain over uncertain outcomes explains why we cling to familiar suffering rather than risk unknown possibilities. Neurologically, uncertainty registers as error in the brain. Our neural architecture constantly predicts what will happen next, creating discomfort when unable to form reliable predictions. This discomfort drives us to create illusions of certainty through rigid planning, excessive research, or seeking guarantees where none exist. We exhaust ourselves trying to know the unknowable. Control functions as uncertainty's antidote in our psychological framework. By maintaining tight grip on circumstances, relationships, and outcomes, we temporarily soothe anxiety. This control rarely works long term, but provides immediate relief from vulnerability. Society reinforces this through messages equating control with competence and surrender with weakness. Early life experiences shape our trust capacity significantly. Children raised with consistent caregiving develop secure attachment and internal model, expecting support when needed. Those experiencing unpredictable care develop hypervigilance and self-reliance as adaptive responses. These patterns persist into adulthood, influencing our ability to trust life's unfolding. Past disappointments leave neural imprints resistant to new information. One painful betrayal creates protective mechanisms against similar situations. Prayers seemingly unanswered, dreams unrealized, or hopes crushed create evidence files our brains reference when considering trust. These memories receive preferential treatment in our cognitive processing, being more accessible and influential than positive experiences. Vulnerability avoidance drives much resistance. Trusting requires acknowledging our lack of control, a profoundly vulnerable position. Cultural conditioning often frames vulnerability as weakness rather than courage. We build elaborate defenses against feeling exposed while simultaneously craving authentic connection only possible through vulnerability. Internal narratives solidify resistance through repetitive thought patterns. Stories about life being dangerous, people being untrustworthy, or success requiring constant vigilance become self-fulfilling prophecies. These narratives filter incoming information, preserving themselves by emphasizing confirming evidence while dismissing contradictory experiences. Perfectionism intensifies resistance by setting impossible standards. Perfectionist thinking demands absolute certainty before action, complete control over outcomes, and flawless execution of plans. These standards ensure perpetual disappointment while preventing meaningful engagement with life's natural imperfection and unpredictability. Human desire operates across multiple layers, with surface wants often masking deeper needs. Most confusion stems from conditioned wanting desires, shaped by social comparison, marketing messages, and cultural expectations. These external influences create artificial urgings, easily mistaken for authentic needs. Someone might desperately want a prestigious job title while actually needing meaningful work. Another might chase relationship status while truly needing genuine connection. Ego-driven desires frequently overpower soul-level requirements. Ego craves recognition, accumulation, and status-measurable achievements, proving worth to others. Soul requires growth, contribution, and authenticity, internal experiences unrelated to external validation. Without conscious awareness, ego desires dominate attention while deeper needs remain unaddressed beneath the surface. Modern life encourages constant wanting through advertising, social media, and status competition. This conditioning programs perpetual dissatisfaction, always needing more, better, newer versions of everything. True needs remain relatively simple: security, connection, meaning, growth, and contribution. These foundational requirements stay consistent despite changing external circumstances. Timing differences create another layer of confusion. Immediate wants demand attention now, creating urgency regardless of long-term impact. Genuine needs operate on longer timelines, often lacking urgency until severely neglected. This difference in perceived timing makes postponing wants for needs particularly challenging despite better long-term outcomes. Life consistently prioritizes growth over comfort, evolution over stagnation. This natural intelligence responds more to what expands consciousness than what satisfies temporary cravings. Someone might desperately want relationship stability while needing to develop independence. Another might want career advancement while needing creative expression. Universal intelligence consistently delivers opportunities for the deeper need rather than the surface want. Unreceived wants often contain profound wisdom in their absence. Relationships denied often protect from connections that would limit growth. Career paths blocked frequently prevent wasting years in misaligned directions. Dreams delayed sometimes allow necessary foundation building before manifestation. This protective function operates most clearly in retrospect, revealing how unanswered prayers often constitute answered ones. Disappointment serves as a powerful teacher in distinguishing wants from needs. Each unfulfilled desire creates opportunity for deeper questioning. What was I really seeking through this? What quality or experience did I believe this would provide? What deeper longing underlies this specific want? These questions reveal that most wants represent strategies for meeting fundamental needs rather than needs themselves. Growth occurs most significantly through need fulfillment rather than want satisfaction. Getting everything wanted often creates stagnation, preventing necessary discomfort that drives evolution. Not getting what's wanted creates space for reassessment, recalibration, and discovering more aligned paths. This frustration of wants while meeting needs explains why challenging periods often precede major breakthroughs. Maturity involves developing discernment between transient wants and authentic needs. This wisdom comes through experience and noticing how quickly satisfaction fades after attaining certain desires versus the lasting fulfillment from addressing genuine requirements. Eventually, this awareness allows consciously choosing need fulfillment even when wants scream more loudly for attention. Trust develops through consistent practice rather than instant transformation. Small daily actions gradually rewire neural pathways from anxiety to confidence, from control to surrender. Beginning with gratitude creates the foundation for all other trust practices. Focusing attention on what's working shifts brain activity from problem-solving mode to appreciation mode, activating different neural networks entirely. Morning gratitude sets a powerful tone, naming 3 specific experiences from the previous day before checking devices or beginning activities. Specificity matters significantly here. Rather than general appreciation for family, noting that moment my child laughed uncontrollably at dinner creates stronger neural imprinting. This specificity anchors gratitude in sensory experience rather than abstract concepts. Evening reflection on disguised blessings builds trust through reinterpretation. Identifying challenges that ultimately led to growth, connections, or unexpected opportunities trains perception to find hidden gifts in difficulty. Over time, this practice shortens the gap between experiencing challenges and recognizing their potential value. Surrender practices address our deep need for control. Body-based surrender begins with conscious breathfully exhaling while mentally releasing tension, planning, and resistance. This physiological surrender signals safety to the nervous system, reducing fight-or-flight activation that blocks trust. 5 deep surrendered breaths when facing uncertainty creates immediate state change. Decision surrender involves writing questions or challenges on paper, placing them in a designated universe box, and symbolically releasing attachment to specific outcomes. This physical action represents internal willingness to receive unexpected solutions. Revisiting these papers weeks later often reveals surprising resolutions or changed perspectives. Aligned action practice balances surrender with participation. Taking one small step without knowing the entire path builds proof of universal support. Moving forward despite incomplete information, then watching for feedback and adjusting accordingly creates evidence of a responsive universe. This practice directly challenges perfectionist planning tendencies. Meaning-finding exercises transform interpretation of daily events. Journaling about perfect timing incidents documents moments when delays, coincidences, or unexpected turns ultimately prove beneficial. This growing evidence file counteracts doubt during future uncertainty. Pattern recognition practice involves noting recurring themes across seemingly unrelated experiences. Keeping a small notebook to record repeated symbols, messages, or situations reveals guidance that might otherwise remain invisible beneath daily distractions. Intuition strengthening builds trust in internal guidance. Taking 10 seconds of silence before important decisions activates intuitive knowing beyond rational analysis. Starting with small choices builds confidence in this inner compass before applying to major life decisions. Compassionate reframing dissolves harsh self-judgment that blocks trust. Replacing thoughts like, I made a terrible mistake, with, I'm receiving valuable feedback, shifts from punishment to partnership with life's intelligence. This practice requires consistent attention to internal dialogue throughout daily activities. Nature immersion provides direct experience of universal order. Spending time with natural systems demonstrates perfect timing, purpose within apparent chaos, and interdependent intelligence. Observing seasonal cycles, weather patterns, or ecosystem relationships makes abstract trust principles tangible and observable. Crisis shatters trust in profound ways. Job loss, health diagnoses, relationship betrayals, or financial collapse can devastate our sense of safety and predictability. During these periods, platitudes about trusting the universe can feel insulting rather than helpful. Raw pain demands acknowledgement before healing begins. Grief requires space before meaning-making becomes possible. Allowing emotions their full expression, anger, fear, confusion, despair creates necessary processing that cannot be bypassed. Attempting to force trust during acute trauma often creates spiritual bypassing, using spiritual concepts to avoid necessary emotional work. True integration happens by moving through difficulty rather than around it. Physical nervous system regulation becomes essential when overwhelm dominates. Trauma responses fight, flight, freeze, hijack higher brain functions needed for trust. Simple practices like placing hands on heart and belly while breathing slowly signals safety to the body. This physiological calming must precede cognitive approaches to rebuilding trust. Micro moments of presence offer refuge during overwhelming periods. When unable to trust the bigger picture, focusing on single breaths, physical sensations, or immediate surroundings provides temporary relief from mental projection. These brief returns to present reality interrupt catastrophic thinking patterns that amplify distress. Community connection provides vital support when individual trust falters, allowing others to hold hope temporarily when personal reserves deplete creates resilience beyond individual capacity. Throughout history, humans have navigated impossible circumstances through collective rather than isolated resources. Meaning emerges gradually through consistent questioning. Not why did this happen to me, but what might this be developing in me? This subtle reframing maintains open inquiry without forcing premature conclusions. Treating challenges as questions rather than punishments creates space for evolving insight. Crisis reveals previously invisible strengths. Capacities for endurance, adaptation, and compassion often surface precisely when most needed. Noticing these emerging abilities even amid suffering creates evidence of internal resources beyond what was previously recognized. Small trust experiments rebuild faith systematically. Rather than attempting complete surrender during crisis, tiny acts of trust create evidence for larger leaps later. Taking one uncertain step, expressing one vulnerable truth, or releasing one small outcome builds trust through accumulated experience rather than intellectual understanding. Progress happens through shrinking time frames. When trusting life's entire trajectory feels impossible, trusting the next hour becomes accessible. This compressed focus makes trust manageable during overwhelming periods. Gradually, these shorter windows expand as evidence accumulates. Spiritual traditions worldwide recognize darkness as essential for transformation. Ancient wisdom maps stages from disintegration to rebirth, providing frameworks for navigating what feels like annihilation. These traditions normalize periods of emptiness as necessary preparation for renewal rather than evidence of abandonment. Trauma rewiring requires repeated counter experiences. Each small moment of support, unexpected assistance, or surprising resolution begins healing neural pathways damaged by betrayal or loss. This biological rewiring happens through experience rather than intellectual understanding, which explains why affirmations alone rarely restore damaged trust. Living from trust creates profound shifts that extend far beyond occasional peace or temporary happiness. Internal stability emerges, first an unwavering center remains, accessible regardless of external storms. This stability differs fundamentally from detachment or apathy. It maintains full engagement with life while recognizing that circumstances, however difficult, don't define essential well-being. Emotional resilience develops through this grounded presence. Painful feelings still arise grief, disappointment, frustration, but no longer create identity confusion or existential threat. These emotions move through more fluidly without triggering spirals of reactivity or resistance. Recovery from setbacks happens faster with each cycle of trust practice. Attachment to specific outcomes loosens naturally, reducing suffering created by rigid expectations. Plans still form, goals still matter, but their exact manifestation becomes negotiable. This flexibility creates space for outcomes better than originally envisioned, while preventing devastation when particular paths close unexpectedly. Intuitive capacity expands dramatically as trust deepens. Mental chatter quiets enough for subtler guidance to emerge clearly. This intuition operates beyond logical analysis, drawing from bodily wisdom, pattern recognition, and expanded awareness. Decisions made from this integrated intelligence often appear irrational until their wisdom becomes evident through results. Synchronicity increases noticeably for those practicing trust. Meaningful coincidences, perfect timing, and unlikely connections occur with greater frequency. This phenomenon may reflect actual increases in such events or enhanced ability to perceive what was always present but previously filtered out by skeptical awareness. Energy conservation represents a practical benefit often overlooked. Resistance, worry, and control attempts consume massive amounts of physical and mental resources. Trust releases this wasted energy, making it available for creative pursuits, relationship depth, and purposeful action. Many report increased vitality and decreased burnout after adopting trust practices. Flow states become more accessible through trust. These optimal experience characterized by complete absorption, timelessness, and effortless performance require surrendering conscious control to deeper intelligence. Trust facilitates this surrender, allowing entry into flow during daily activities rather than rare peak experiences. Authenticity emerges naturally when no longer managing impressions or controlling outcomes. Conversations become more direct, creative expression more genuine, and relationships more transparent. This authenticity attracts aligned connections while naturally filtering out mismatched ones without deliberate boundary setting. Expanded time frames shift perspective significantly. Trust allows considering lifetimes rather than moments, seeing patterns across years rather than days. This zoomed out viewpoint reveals meaning in periods that seemed purposeless when viewed in isolation. Current challenges become contextual rather than overwhelming. Paradoxical strength develops through acknowledged vulnerability. Admitting uncertainty and releasing control creates resilience inaccessible through defensive posturing. This strength manifests as flexibility rather than rigidity, adaptation rather than resistance, and collaboration rather than domination. Presence deepens as future fixation diminishes. Without constantly projecting forward or ruminating backward, awareness saturates current experience more completely. Colors appear more vivid, conversations feel more meaningful, and ordinary moments reveal extraordinary depth when fully inhabited rather than mentally escaped. When you trust the universe, everything shifts, not because life suddenly becomes perfect, but because you see the perfection in life's unfolding wisdom. Each challenge shapes you. Each delay protects you. Each loss creates space for something more aligned with who you're becoming. This trust journey never truly ends. It deepens with every surrender, every moment of gratitude, every challenge navigated with faith in the bigger picture. Your life becomes a living testament to what's possible when you release the illusion of control and embrace the intelligence woven through everything. If this message resonated with you, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more content on conscious living and personal transformation.